So back in the 90s, Nintendo was dominant. Okay, let's skip the song and dance with this one and get right into Sonic Forces. First of all, I'm not going to compare this game at all to Sonic Mania. It just isn't fair. They're two completely different games, and anyone who compares this to Mania, well, I'm sorry, your opinion just doesn't matter to me. As you may know, I didn't really look forward to this game's release. Nothing I was shown really interested me. I kinda just wanted to wait for the game to come out and gather my opinions then. This game was marketed horribly. Sega have gotten the mindset this year that less is more and that they should show off as little of the game as possible, but in this case no, less is definitely less. To the average consumer, there was no intriguing stuff in these trailers to make them want to buy this game. I had no idea what to think before going into this game. I couldn't tell what I wanted to do. But now the game is finally out and it's not doing too well. But I'll talk about that later. So let's get into the story. And this is the first time I've ever done this, but I'm gonna go to this story and go through it beat by beat and talk about it. Eggman has found a new power source called the Phantom Ruby and used it to upgrade a Jackal into this all-powerful being called Infinite. Sonic gets notified by Tails that Eggman is attacking a city. When Sonic gets there, he gets completely wrecked by Shadow, Zavok, or as the characters like to call him, Zavok, Metal Sonic, and Chaos. Just why did these old foes join Eggman again? I'll talk about that later. Sonic gets sent to prison in the Death Egg and is tortured for months. Holy shit, tortured for months you say? God, that must have screwed Sonic up. What's he gonna look like? Oh. The exact same. Cracking jokes. Not beaten up, scared, fucking anything. We're told that a resistance has been formed, made up of Sonic's previous allies, and a new recruit is joining their rebellion. You. Or, I mean, me, or you, but it's me. I know, see. They send the rookie off to save Sonic from the Death Egg. This is also where we find out that Tails has completely lost it. God, that's interesting. What's he doing? Where did he go? What's happened to him? Oh. Nothing. He's the exact same. So Tails is trying to fix Omega, who is broken, but fails. Remember that part, it'll come in handy later. When Chaos is approaching Tails from the sewer, Classic Sonic comes out of a portal from the end of Sonic Mania and saves him. Suddenly Tails doesn't care about Sonic anymore and is completely fine because this Sonic is just as good as any other Sonic. After that, all the characters reunite and they quickly turn the tide of the war. Along the way, Sonic meets Shadow, who's destroying the already destroyed village, when the real Shadow comes in and tells us it's a fake. I can't even be sarcastic about this. Everybody was speculating that this was the reason Shadow turned evil, but I thought, nah, that's way too predictable. They wouldn't do that. So all the heroes join forces and finally defeat Infinite and Eggman. Okay, so here we go, the part I've been waiting for. Here's everything wrong with the story in Sonic Forces. 1. Omega is broken here, then at the end of the game when the character's about to die, Omega comes in and shoots Infinite. No one gonna mention how he magically got fixed? No? Okay, moving on. Okay, so it's not just Sonic in this prison, there's lots of people captured, but they only have one Zavok guarding it. They have stated Infinite can make an infinite amount of these, yet they only have one Zavok guarding this massive prison cell. Tails and Classic Sonic get absolutely no time to bond, yet throughout the game we're supposed to believe that they have some sort of friendship. Nobody acknowledges Classic Sonic in this game. They don't even give him a different name, they just refer to him as Other Sonic. I get why they put him in here, kind of. People need to remember, Mania wasn't a thing when Classic Sonic was put into Forces, but it definitely doesn't help Forces. The reason the heroes win in the end is because the Avatar found this Phantom Ruby prototype that Infinite dropped earlier on, but Infinite can clearly see that he's got this on at least one occasion. Shadow's doppelganger problem is solved so quickly. What the? Shadow? Oh no, I'm right here, that one's fake. Oh. Chaos does absolutely nothing in this story. After that scene with Tails, he is demoted to a background character. The Park Avenue place could have been a great time to have a callback to the boss fight from Adventure, but no, you don't even fight half the enemies shown. We're told of places like Seaside Hill, but we never actually go there, and that's a problem that I again will get into later. Null Space is such a wasted opportunity. When I seen this, I expected 1 or 2 levels inside this place, but no, they just run back within 10 seconds. When Sonic is getting beat up, Tails just sits there like a little bitch and does nothing. which I expected him to feel bad about, but no. And whenever they're about to get sucked in null space, Tails doesn't have a bit of development and saves Sonic. No, he just sits behind the fucking rock again.
Cheer up, Tails. I'm sure we'll run into him again.
Please. Please no. In the end, the Avatar decides to leave everyone and Sonic does the same. This is the best cutscene in the game, because it's just them talking. No threat, no we have to go here, we have to do this, it's just them talking. Some of the plot lines go absolutely nowhere. Sonic and Avatar go to this place where there's weapons being made. You would expect some sort of cutscene of them destroying them, because that's the task they were given. But no, the next thing we see is just, oh Sonic, go over here now. I guess my main complaint with the story is that it's just way too short and has no time at all to develop anything. This story could have been so much, but it just ended up being like any other Sonic plot.
My own! Time to put up or shut up, Infinite!
Like I mentioned, Tails is really sad at the end of the game because Classic Sonic's leaving, when you literally only had one proper cutscene with each other. So much of the stuff is done off screen, like the resistance forming and Classic Sonic and Tails bonding, but by the end of the game acts like we're supposed to feel bad for Tails. Infinite just comes and goes. It's like Eggman's not even a threat anymore. We keep being told that he's destroying the soldier ships and killing people, but I actually want to see that. That will show me that Eggman means business this time, not just having Orbot say,
The boss means business this time.
I mean, it's show, don't tell. I don't think it would have been too bad if they had some more cutscenes fleshed out. There's radio transmissions for most levels, but I feel like these were meant to be full cutscenes, but they either ran out of time or money. Because Tails is talking to Classic Sonic, but we can't actually see him in the picture, and half the time I don't know where everyone's at. I think this is simultaneously a great portrayal of all the characters and a poor portrayal of all the characters. Eggman's as good as ever. I really like Infinite, he's probably the best Monster of the Week character we've got, although his reasoning for turning evil is laughably bad. Sonic is great in some scenes, but he doesn't take the situation seriously enough. I mean, we're meant to believe that our OC doesn't believe in ourselves, but we never really do see much of that, which is really weird when we start having cuts to Sonic cheering us on. Tails doesn't act sad enough when Sonic is gone, and forgets about him too quickly when Classic Sonic comes into the picture. Knuckles is great, although he sometimes lines are laughably bad.
Is reporting that whatever it is that finished Sonic. Sorry, I'm still not used to saying that.
All the other characters are just there, they don't really do much. Modern Sonic's gameplay is like Generations 0.5. His normal walking control is pretty good, although he picks up speed so quickly, and when you pick up lots of speed you can barely turn. It seems like Sonic switches to autopilot and too many sequences are scripted for no reason, like when running up some ledges. It seems like there was a dash panel there, but no, you just randomly pick up speed. The boost has been downgraded, which I don't mind. I honestly think this game would have been better without the boost, but when you jump from boosting, Sonic doesn't curl in the ball, leaving you open for attack. This also means you can't home an attack, so you have to remember to release the boost button to attack an enemy. Speaking of the home and attack, they've made it so you can't home and attack an enemy unless you're facing them, and since you can't turn around in mid-air, it makes it really tedious to kill some enemies. Also, once you've passed an enemy and they're off screen, hell, even when they're on screen, you can't attack them for some reason. The level design is really lacking. There's multiple pathways sometimes, but they only take you off the beaten path for a couple seconds. The worst defender for this is Luminous Force. It is literally just a straight line. I found another couple pathways, and it took me to this really cool looking place, but it's the only time it was used and it lasts a couple seconds. You get there by knowing to do this home attack chain, but look at this, how am I supposed to see this if I'm boosting? Look at the screen, it can't just be me, this is way too much. Some levels have a quick time event style thing, which is fine, I like these cinematic moments, but in some instances I can't tell what's going on. I don't have bad eyesight or anything, but I cannot tell what's happening sometimes. It really does hurt my eyes. Okay, let's move on to Classic Sonic. And what do you know, it's like Generations 0.5. His jump is way too heavy, platforming is such a struggle in this game, he's way too slow. I think in the next update they should increase his running speed, and also give him a lot more speed when running down hills, so we all know what happens in Chemical Plant. Even saying that, after a bit I did get used to the controls, and I don't think the levels are bad or anything, there's nothing special. I actually really like the level design for the classic levels. There are a lot of pathways, including some hidden paths, but other than that, Classic Sonic's so unneeded. Not because of Mania, but because he does absolutely nothing throughout the entire game. He gets one boss fight and only a handful of levels. that could have been spent more on modern or Avatar stages. Speaking of the Avatar, it's my favourite part of the game. He controls fine, his jump, while not the best, is good for the platform being asked, and the different Wispons, while only having 7, are fun to retry the stages with, although some are better than others. Their level design is also the most broad in terms of pathways. I love the amount of costume pieces for avatars. The soap shoes even make a return, and I lost it when I unlocked the boom scarf and gloves after beating the game. There are also tag team stages with Sonic and the custom character, which are fun. They're my favourite levels in the game, especially because they remind me of Sonic Heroes. There's so many different ways to beat them, which is the most interesting thing. The main problem with all these stages is that they're so short. My first time playing, I beat most of the stages in 1 or 2 minutes, and there's only 30, including boss fights, which also aren't anything special. Definitely could have used more of them. But I wonder, who else could they have fought? Lots of the game's stages are just taken from these 6 or 7 locations, 2 of which are Green Hill and Chemical Plant, which bothers me because the characters never go anywhere new. It's just, let's go back to the Death Egg, let's go back to Chemical Plant. It's never anything new. It doesn't help that a lot of the levels have the same set pieces. These parts of the Avatar stage is literally exact same as the modern Sonic part. I love the music. I mean, it's a Sonic game, what did I expect? I love Sunset Heights and Null Space, and especially the ending theme. The game looks beautiful. Not as good as Unleashed still, especially cutscene wise. Some of them look really unfinished, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't look great. Sometimes almost a little too great. In some levels, particularly the last couple, I can't really tell where my character is, which doesn't help if you picked a really dark coloured character in your OC. In the end, we waited 4 years for this game, and it's so painfully average that it hurts. Don't listen to anyone saying it's so bad, it's not. But it's one of the most average Sonic games ever. Some people love it, some people hate it. I mean, if you enjoyed Colors of Generations, you're most likely to get a kick out of this game. The Avatar creator, though, is definitely the highlight of it all. The biggest question now is what's next for the Sonic series. This game isn't getting great reviews. Lots of them are being extremely harsh though. It's not really selling great on Steam at least. So what's next? The biggest problem is that I don't think anyone working on this game wanted to make it. After Generations, Iizuka said that was it for the Boost Formula games, and when Lost World failed, they went back to it even though they didn't really want to. I think it's about time to go back to the adventure formula. But if there's one thing I really wanted to do, is stop. Take another 4-year break and don't come back until you have a fully realised and developed from Sonic Team. Now that doesn't mean do nothing between them. Have Christian and his team make another classic game. Fuck it. Have Sumo Digital make that Sega fighting game they wanted to make. Give the Boom Show a 3rd season, and if you want to do something modern in the meantime, well Sega, I'm gonna give you a free one. I'm shocked you haven't done this yet, but here we go. So, you know the way that I loved Colors and everybody loved Generations? Well, this may sound crazy, Sega, but how do you think people would react to Colors and Generations in the same game, in HD, on the Switch so you can take it anywhere you go? I mean, throw in Unleashed and make it a Boost Trilogy. You'd be lying if you said that wouldn't make a shit ton of money. Have a side team develop that while you're putting your focus on a new adventure style game. Baffles me that Sega haven't realised to do this yet. Everybody's looking for HD Colors, and everybody's looking for Generations and Colors to be put together on the Switch. But Sega just don't like money apparently. You know what's funny? I actually find myself agreeing with the IGN review of all things. They make some very good points, and they're the most reasonable reviews for these games I've ever seen. I've never done this before because I think they're more trouble than they're worth. But if I were to give Forces a score, it would be between a 7 or a 7.5. If you want to know where my stance on Forces is compared to the other 3D Sonics, here you go. Should you buy Sonic Forces? Yeah, maybe. I got mine for £25, which makes me think that Sega were really worried about this game. And for that cheap, yeah, I'd say it's worth it. There's a couple extra missions, although there's only about 6 or 10 of them. But no matter what they do next, I'll be there to talk about it. Hope you enjoyed. I think this is one of the longest Sonic reviews I've done. So thanks for watching. Bye.
It's hard to bear shadows of sadness within your stare.